Hello? There we go. My mic was disconnected from, OBS for some reason. But now that that's, back, I think we're all good. But, yeah, so. I've returned to Call of Duty, as I felt like just playing something short and, probably doing a not that long stream. And, you know, in the mood of playing something short. I've gotten to the point to where, like, very recently, I don't really play many games anyway. No, probably like Lunchbox short, like an hour or two. I haven't really, like, played, I think it's, the attention span of having 4 monitors, has, like, killed my ability to process standalone media where you have to pay attention to something. So like, and you know, just like the social media and whatnot, you know, that nice dopamine rush of every new post, being like, what do you mean I gotta play, you know, 40 hours of an RPG to get satisfaction at the end? So I have, like, you know, I really haven't been playing, games, especially not by myself. I play games with, like, my friends, occasionally, but they're usually busy. So, it's gotten to the point to where the only times that I do feel like playing a game am in the situation to where I'm like, well, I might as well stream it, because, then I can at least, tangent while I'm doing it. Which is what I'm doing now. So, and I did feel like getting back into the, just the simple speed of Call of Duty. But I've found a shocking revelation since the last time I played this, which is that, last time I played, in my previous streams, this Call of Duty added a new game mode that was called Tier 1. And now what Tier 1 is it was standard hardcore, but there was no HUD, like, at all, pretty much. And I loved that. I like my games where there's just, like, no HUD. Oh my god. Instantly killed each other, me and that guy. But I like games with as little HUD as possible. And I believe Tier 1 had some other elements to it to make it even harder. But I believe people didn't like that. Like normal Call of Duty fans were not a fan. So they got rid of Tier 1 and they just put it down to the old rules of hardcore. And that's a bit of shame. Like, I'm playing it and I'm like, I liked it better as Tier 1 when I had even less in-game feedback and I had to, like, rely on, like, actually, like, thinking things through and using, like, basically I just wanted it to be, like, a bit more realistic. Which, you know, realistic in Call of Duty feels, like, sounds weird, but,
Location updated.
like, those are, like, my favorite, like, shooter. Like, my favorite ways to play shooters are playing, oh yeah, Hardcore Search and Destroy. The poor man's Rainbow Six Siege is so good. I figured that was one of the landmines that you could lay down and have it explode over your head, but turns out that's not the case.
Hostile UAV in the area.
But yeah, like, my favorite, like, type of
Got your back.
game is
Enemy incoming.
basically, like, yeah, like one of, like, like a classic, like, normie shooter kind of thing, like a Battlefield or a Call of Duty. But then, that's gonna shoot me. But yeah, so like a Battlefield or a Call of Duty, but then played on hardcore. Like Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 on hardcore are both so good. but I really love, yeah, like a hardcore Call of Duty, and they made Tier 1 even more hardcore than normal. Ooh. Even more like hardcore than normal, which I liked, but then they kind of got rid of it. With just this, what I'm now playing now is just normal hardcore.
Slave.
Which, like I said, yeah, they made less hardcore than Tier 1, which is a bit annoying, but it's still fine.
Got the sniper.
Hardpoint relocating. Stand by.
Yeah, big thing that I like doing, with, like, what that I like that hardcore gives the ability to do, is, I almost always just fire on, I almost always fire on, semi-auto only, which I really enjoy doing.
I'm taking fire.
Enemy UAV.
But yeah, for now, I am going to be, back to doing the AK tree as how I play this game, because this game has like the gun family trees. How I play this is I'm going to be going through each like family. I already have the HK like gun family, like the roller delayed blowback family, completed.
Confirming next hardpoint.
And
Stand
I
by.
think I have the AR-15 family done. So now I'm working on the AK, and I have all the AK assault rifles
Hardpoint
complete,
relocated. Secure the target area.
which I think was the 74M, the 103, and then the 74U. So now I'm working on the AK submachine guns, of which there are two
Enemy
that are
personnel at the
kind
hardpoint.
of the same gun. That are kind of the same gun, but different. That's a weird thing of the history of the Russian submachine guns of the 90s. Were basically Russia wanted a new new submachine gun for like their Ministry of Affairs and like, you know, like police and whatnot. Because, you know, submachine guns don't really have much of a place in a military setting. But they do in a police setting still. To where there's a lot of debate over if you're in a like a SWAT-esque situation. You've got a couple options for your primary, you know. Now, the standard kind of modern choices you would have of going in, like I said, in a SWAT-esque situation. Oh boy, the final kill. Look at these nice semi-auto taps. You want something short, you know, so that leaves to coming down to the caliber. We've gotten to the point where you can have a very small intermediate caliber rifle that is effective within close range. You think, you know, like the AK-74U, the Mark 18, certain AR chamberings like 300 Blackout. 5.56 doesn't really like to get under like a 11-inch barrel. It gets kind of weird there, but you can run it in close range with like a 9-inch barrel, or even down to like a 7-inch, but it gets kind of weird. Let's see, when do I get? Okay, stock is next. So there's like a few reasons why you would bring each like type. Now, The advantage of now in America, you're gonna see pretty much either it's gonna be the MP5 or like an AR-15 as like the
Securing Alpha.
as like the
Contact!
as the what's it called
Enemy
like
securing
close
Bravo.
range guns of choice.
The enemy took Bravo. We're taking Charlie.
The
Secure Bravo.
advantage of the MP5 is it's gonna be slightly lower recoiling, but not that much lower because AR-15s at this point have gotten to pretty good recoil control.
We're taking Bravo.
Did that guy just fire a crossbow at me? He did.
We're losing Alpha.
Yeah, so the handgun thing, like using a submachine gun at close range,
Friendly UAV
slightly
online.
better control.
Charlie secure.
You can make them very small. Like I said, you can also make AR-15s very small at this point, but like you can make submachine guns to essentially be a pistol on a stock at this point.
Securing Bravo.
So
Destroyed!
We're taking Bravo.
like
Bravo secure.
the smallest AR is gonna always be bigger than the smallest submachine gun.
Changing mag!
You can make like very tiny. Essentially, they get into the point to where it's just a stock machine pistol. Think of like a Glock 18 with a stock on it, something like that. Or like even like a mini Uzi, or the modernized mini Uzi, which is called the Uzi Pro, things like that. But the so like I mean you can see it in the game right now, because the game is actually doing a pretty good way of replicating that.
Go your back.
It's like it is always assumed that like you are not going to be able to drop a guy with like one or two handgun bullets, you know.
Grenade out! Eyes up!
Like handguns, you if you're using like 9mm, or this gun is chambered in 9x18, which I'll discuss shortly.
Charlie.
Uh,
The lead is ours. Securing objective Alpha.
it's kind of always understood that you're gonna
Enemy securing Charlie.
like a rifle bullet has two things going on in it. Okay.
Charlie.
When a rifle bullet
We're
hits you,
taking Alpha.
it is either going to work one of two ways.
Alpha secure.
It's going to be going fast enough that something called hydrostatic shock happens. Uh-oh,
Charlie.
that is a claymore that I did not set off somehow.
Securing objective Charlie.
Yeah, so hydrostatic shock,
Enemy
right?
taking Alpha.
Imagine imagine a can of soup, okay? And then you shoot that can of soup, right? It's not, you're not just gonna shoot like a hole through it. It's like you shoot like a big like bullet. Like it's did my teammate
Securing
just shoot me?
objective Alpha.
Like it's gonna like the can of soup's gonna like pop, right? Like it's gonna explode.
Objective Bravo is compromised.
Because there is the soup within the can has to be displaced by the
Objective Bravo secure.
it's like a water shockwave, you know, like the liquid inside where
Enemy securing Bravo.
the speed of the bullet is pushing the liquid, and the liquid has nowhere to go, so it just kind of like pops out. Now imagine that can of soup was your body. If you have a fast enough bullet going,
Enemy UAV overhead.
you will have what is called hydrostatic shock, which is the bullet is pushing air and liquid out of the way, and that liquid has to go somewhere And most of the times where it goes is where your internal organs are. I mean, your internal organs are getting moved around.
Control Bravo.
So if you get shot in the stomach with like a 30-06, it's not just going to make a 30 caliber
We're
hole.
losing Bravo.
It is going to it's going to have a 30 caliber hole
We control
that
all
then
objectives.
it
Secure hostile sentries
like
is active. Enemy
pushes
UAV
the area around the
Secure
hole
Bravo.
open.
Enemy UAV online.
Now, not every bullet does this exactly. Some bullets, like intermediate, a lot of modern intermediate bullets, do what is called yawing, like Y-A-W, and what yawing is the
The enemy took Alpha.
yawing is the bullet like flipping end over end. You know how when you incorrectly throw a football and it like flips through the air? Well, intermediate, like a lot of modern intermediate cartridges are designed so that when they hit anything, like they're spiraling like a football. Uh-oh. They're spiraling like a football, but then the second they hit something, oh my god, this battle I'm having. Oh, yeah.
Objective Bravo secure.
Ah! I got him, but his teammate got me. Yeah, so the second they hit anything, they just have to flip end over end, right? So if you get hit with like a 5.56 or a 5.45, when they hit you, they flip inside of you, so that like tears you up on the inside. So that's why most of the
Enemy
time,
taking Charlie.
if you get like
Objective secure.
a vital
The enemy took
shot,
Charlie.
no teammate. Oh, he just ran through that claymore.
Securing Alpha.
If you get like a
We're
vital
taking Alpha.
shot, like a torso shot with a 5.56
secure.
or a 5.45,
Our
what's gonna happen
in the area.
is
Friendly UAV on station.
the person is just gonna like stop fighting. Ooh.
Enemy taking Bravo.
Yeah, it's usually not the best. You normally don't want to get shot. You normally don't want to get shot, but you especially don't want to get shot by any rifle.
Friendly UAV online.
But the
Securing Charlie. Enemies taking
so
Alpha.
the what's it called?
Bravo. Securing objective Charlie. The enemy holds all objectives. We're getting our asses kicked. We control Bravo.
So what happens though with a handgun
Objective Charlie
is a
secure.
handgun bullet doesn't have
Enemy
the
UAV
velocity.
overhead. Enemy
Uh,
securing Charlie. Enemy
So to
UAV
get the
active.
velocity that you need to get the hydrostatic
Securing
shock,
objective Alpha. Friendly UAV on station.
you need to you need to have like a long enough barrel essentially to allow pressure to build up inside the gun, like behind the bullet. And any barrel that is long enough for
We
that
control two objectives.
usually won't have
Enemy UAV overhead. Our UAV is
the
orbiting
pressure,
area. We're
right?
losing Bravo.
Unless we are talking the way to do it, then if not from like barrel length building pressure, is just put a bunch of gunpowder in it. So you do get stuff like Magnum cartridges will get you hydrostatic shock. But those are the way that
More than that. Loading.
Magnum cartridges, of course, have
Friendly UAV online.
you have to kind of work in a manual action because they're so long. You can't have like a
Enemy fighter here.
like a 44 Magnum submachine gun. That doesn't really work. At least for now.
Enemy
No one's
securing
invented one that
Bravo.
does work in a logistical method.
Covering your 6.
Friendly
Target marked.
airstrike in the AO.
So the problem is with like 9mm cartridges
We've got them on the run. Keep it up.
is they don't have the velocity to do the hydrostatic shock, and they don't have the length to boat tail and yaw like an intermediate cartridge. So they get to the oh no, is that guy that I just killed, was he AFK, and the winning kill is going to be me killing an AFK guy? Do I have to leave the game in shame? It is. My god. Oh jeez, everyone's probably like, look at this guy. He has no honor. But anyway. The the way a handgun bullet works is it makes a hole in you. So we're talking like your 9mm, your 45, stuff like that. It makes a hole in you, and if that hole doesn't hit your lung, your spine, or your heart, or your brain, if it doesn't hit one of those 4 things, well, if it hits your spine, your heart, or your brain, that's that. Like, you're done. That's the end of that, right? Let's see. What do I want to put on this? Well, I'll put on the fixed stock just for aesthetics for now. But yeah, if one of those hits you, you're pretty much done. No matter what the bullet is. But if one of the other like if a 9mm, yeah. So if a 9mm or a 45 hits you, or a 32 or a 22 or any of those, you know, what's gonna happen? What that does is it opens a hole that is equivalent to whatever the size is. So if you get shot with a 9mm, you just now have a 9mm sized hole that will be pouring out blood. And you will be able to fight until too much blood has poured out. And yeah, if you get hit in an artery, more blood will pour out. And yeah, like in your leg, you have a huge artery in your leg that if it gets cut, it's very hard to stop the bleeding. So yeah, that's why you don't just like be like, ah, yeah, you shoot him in the leg, because it's very hard to not bleed out when you get shot in the leg.
I got one.
So, but in most situations, so if you're like in a war, right, and your objective is to like kill people, right, then a lot of the times, if you get hit like once with like a submachine gun, for example, you've just now got a hole in you that is just kind of leaking a little bit, and you'll keep fighting because you're in the middle of a war. Where in a police scenario, if you get hit with a pistol round in the middle of a gunfight, there is a higher chance for you to have the ability to be like, I just got hit in like, you know, like the low. Oh, thank you. I just got hit in the
Friendly cluster mine set.
like I just got hit in the torso.
Got your back.
With a like a 9mm, I can either keep fighting and die, or I can surrender to the police and they will take me to the hospital. So that is one. Now, when we get into the discussion of adding hollow points, which is what most police use, and I'll get to why, hollow points do expand more when they hit your body, so they will tear you up a little bit on the inside, but it's still not going to be as bad as, Sir, surely I can't steal that, right? How do I pick this up?
Enemy securing Alpha.
Is it just ammo? I had no idea what that was, but it wasn't letting me pick it up. But yeah, it's still like getting hit by a hollow point is not going to be instantly putting you down as much as getting hit by like a rifle is. In a situation where you are like fighting with like where you are in a police like shootout, a lot of the times
Objective Bravo is compromised.
police are going to have a lot of times police are going to have let me finish my sentence, enemy team. Police are going to have
Mine ready to deploy. Hostile UAV in the area. Be ready to deploy. The enemy holds 2 objectives.
there we go.
Secure those positions.
But yeah, a lot of times police are going to have you know, are not going to be up against like,
We're taking Bravo.
you know, like an enemy military, for example. Yeah, the people that they're going to be fighting are much more likely to stop fighting if they're wounded. So you have trying to get in a position to put down this turret.
Friendly cluster mine planted. Friendly UAV
There's,
online.
good enough spot.
Sentry deployed.
So you have like a situation where you're not just like you don't need all the power of a full rifle cartridge generally in a police situation with
The enemy's gaining ground.
like fighting most of the time the power of a there's ideas that are called like stops when you have a threat, and there are 2 different types of stops. There are physical stops and psychological stops. A physical stop is to the point to where they physically can no longer continue the fight. That is like what you want in like a war, you know? That is like, oh yeah, you have killed them, or you have severed their spine, or you have, you know, they have been wounded in a way to where they can no longer function. A psychological stop is you have done something that has made them change their mind about the fight. And yeah, whether that is just presenting a gun, or you know, them getting shot and them being like, I'd rather not die, so I'm going to give up. Those are psychological stops. And yeah, a psychological stop is a thing you have to consider in a police scenario. Whereas the thing that is not really present at all in a military scenario, so you don't account for, in a military scenario, wanting all of your stops to be physical stops, which is why submachine guns aren't really used anymore. All of those, like, things of where, like, the other person doesn't immediately get, like, a debilitating wound,
UAV in the area.
are why they aren't used by the military, really, anymore, except in specific scenarios. Now, those scenarios and why you would use them, like I said, in a police situation, one is, like I said earlier, lower recoiling, most of the time. It depends on the action. A straight blowback 9mm will have more recoil. So where the only thing that holds the action closed is a
We control Charlie.
I could have sworn there was a guy standing right there. That was weird.
Friendly care package
Like a ghost. But yeah, so where the only thing that's holding the action closed is the weight of the slide. Stuff like the Uzi, pretty much every World War II submachine gun, but then also like the Uzi, the MAC-10, things like that are straight blowback submachine guns. This gun that I'm using right now is a straight blowback submachine gun. The PP-19, now,
we're taking out.
Some submachine guns, don't have straight blowback. They have a gas system. The MPX has one, but most famously the MP5 has a roller delayed blowback system, which makes it very smooth to shoot. The MP5 doesn't have much recoil to it, but the
We're losing Charlie.
got him. My teammate shot me.
Securing objective Alpha.
Requesting recon flyover.
Copy that. UAV online.
But yeah,
Charlie.
so an actual gas system submachine gun is going to have very little recoil, but also a submachine gun is going to have very low concussive blast. So like when you're in a room, right? Like it's better to fire a gun outside than fire one inside, you know? Because when you fire a bullet, it's gonna break the sound barrier and it's gonna be expanding gas, and that gas has to go somewhere. And if you're inside, it's gonna hit the wall and then it's gonna bounce back to your ears. And then it's also just gonna bounce around in like, if you go to like an indoor gun range and a guy next to you is firing like an AR-15, you're gonna feel it. Let's see. Is this how the battle pass works? I have no idea. I have one token. I don't know what that means. I don't want to buy the battle pass. What's this do? Do I do this? I have no idea. I'll just stick with what I have. Let's see. Did I get any new? Oh yeah, a laser. Yeah, so let's see, yeah, so the, like, way that, the way that intermediate cartridges get their, like, power is with, velocity, like I said. So if you, and so that means a lot of gunpowder, and a lot of like blast. So what happens is if you end up firing a like 5.56 is meant to be fired out of a 20-inch barrel, but you can get it into loadings where it burns all of its powder out of by like what's it called? Like say 7-8-inch barrel. Well, not even like it burns all its powder by like a 12-inch barrel, right? So meaning if you're doing it under 10 inches, you're gonna want to have a suppressor on it to contain some of that concussion and some of that the flash of an unburnt powder.
We're losing Bravo.
So, because that's the thing is, like, we are used to in like media and stuff the suppressor being so that the other guys don't hear you. But most of the time, what a suppressor is for is so that you don't, you know, make yourself dizzy by firing a gun like inside, like 2 feet in front of your face. That's actually what they're for. They're to make you, you know, not concuss yourself with something breaking the sound barrier right in front of you.
We're losing Alpha.
So, if you are going into
Securing Alpha. UAV ready to deploy. Line armed.
Switching mags.
oh, I swapped my pistol so fast. I forgot I have it like very quick to swap, but I swapped it so fast that I didn't even realize I did it, so I swapped it back. But yeah, as I was saying, so if you're going to then the burn rate of like 9mm, 9mm is meant to go out of a 4-inch barrel. So like you're not gonna have 9mm like causing all that flash and like concussion and stuff unless you're firing like crazy hot 9mm out of like a 2-inch barrel.
The enemy took Bravo.
Which, like, you know, that's like no one, like, that's not a thing.
Enemy down.
Alpha secure.
So while yeah, a suppressed 9mm does, you know, you are gonna get less concussion and whatnot out of a suppressed 9mm. You aren't getting much concussion in the first place. And you're doing it in a much smaller package. Like
Enemy securing Charlie.
Whoa, that was weird. I got a really weird lag there. So
The enemy took Charlie.
basically, to have an intermediate gun that isn't concussive, you're gonna need like that at least is that isn't flashing, right? You're gonna have to have at least a 9-inch, like a 10-inch barrel, or like a 12-inch barrel actually. And anything more than that, if you want to get rid of that's to get rid of the flash. If you want to get rid of concussion altogether, Oh, we're talking moving up to a 4-inch barrel. Yeah, not a 4-inch, like you can get down to like a 7-inch barrel, but then you have to add like a suppressor that's going to be like another 6 inches. So that just brings you back to your original like 12 or so inch length. So what ends up happening is
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
you can have a, because also 5.56 suppressors need to be like longer than 9mm ones. You can have a 9mm suppressor that is like 4 inches long on a 4-inch barrel, giving you a equivalent to an 8-inch barrel versus like a 5.56 suppressor on a like an 8-inch barrel, which will bring it to like 14 inches or something. So it's like
The enemy took Alpha.
On your 6.
it's you can get a much shorter gun you can get a much shorter suppressed gun in a pistol caliber cartridge than you can in an intermediate caliber cartridge.
We're taking Bravo.
So
Objective Charlie secure.
that is one good reason to use a submachine gun in the modern days, is that if you are going in a scenario that you know is specifically
Cluster mine deployed.
Mission complete. Keep it up. Friendly care package
if you
on the
know
way.
is specifically going to be within a confined close quarters, like a hostage negotiation or something,
Secure Bravo.
then yeah, using a suppressed submachine gun is going to
Securing objective
be
Alpha.
much easier on the shooter
Enemy taking
than and it's going to be much smaller than, say, like, think of like a suppressed MP5K versus like an M4 carbine. Now, let's see.
We're taking Alpha. Friendly SAE launch.
Now, why you might not want to use a
Objective Alpha secure.
pistol caliber cartridge? A big part of it is if the other team, you know, like the other team, if like the people that you are fighting, if you know they have body armor, then yeah, that is a situation where you want to get like something that can pierce body armor, like an AR-15 or a
We've secured 2 objectives.
just any rifle cartridge, whether it be full rifle or intermediate.
Friendly SAE on the way.
Let's see. But yeah, so having that, and also generally
Enemy UAV overhead.
most of the time you can train on a short, like compact intermediate, and it'll be fine for the same reason that, like, because that's also another thing, is like you can only like train guys so much.
Friendly counter UAV
So-
on station.
Hey, if you train these guys on normal M4 carbines, but then what's that? You need them to go into a close quarter scenario. Well, just give them this gun that's basically just a shorter M4, and it'll work the exact same way. It just has a shorter barrel. Where having to instead, like generally, because normally we don't really
Securing Bravo.
use, well, we didn't for a while use 9mm AR-15s. They did exist, but not many people really used them.
Friendly cluster mine planted.
They usually went for the MP5 if it were available. But where all of that information takes us is not the gun that I'm holding, but a different gun that is in the game that is very similar to the gun that I'm holding. There is a gun that you might be familiar with from games, referred to as the PP-19 Bison, or Bison, I believe it's actually pronounced. Now, that gun famously has a helical magazine, which is a magazine that is like a, it's like a tube of Pringles that like you shove under the barrel, right? And it has inside of it a coiled spring that is like neat. It has in it like a like a coil, like almost like a helix, hence the name, like hexagonal. To where it look at it, this is like the 3rd or 4th game in a row where I've gotten the final kill. So it's basically, the idea is that you can, if you take, like I said, like a Pringles can, and then put like a center axis down it, and then have like almost like a, then have like a curled, like a curled like feed path through this magazine. What you end up with is this. See that? Let's see. See this? How under the barrel it's got the Pringles can? This is what the new Russians, as this was in like 93, 94 is when they wanted this. Because the Soviet Union, I've mentioned this before on stream, really, they considered the AK-47 to be a, let's see. Do I want that? Recoil velocity. No, aim down sight speed. Nah, I'm good with just the short barrel. The Soviet Union considered the AK family to be submachine guns. They did not consider them to, they didn't consider assault rifles to be a thing. They were like, you have a rifle, which is like we in NATO countries have the concept of, you've got a battle rifle, like, you know, like an FAL, or insert your nation's rifle that uses 7.62 NATO here.
Hard point.
Then we have an assault rifle, like an M16, or insert your nation's 5.56 rifle here.
Target area
Or you have a submachine gun, which is, you know, in 9mm. Insert your, like an MP5 / insert your nation's 9mm submachine gun here. What Russia did, and we say all of these guns, they all have special purposes, right?
Secure the area.
They're all weapons that are to be used by the infantry. For a little bit, we also had carbines, which, you know, like an M1, M2 carbine, which is more kind of in the vein of what we would call a PDW today, but that's a whole other kind of caveat.
On your 6.
So America has, from an infantry standpoint, America has 3 different bullets. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. America has 3 different bullets, right? By, like, say, like, Vietnam, right? You can find, you know, some guys you'll find with an M14, some guys you'll find with an M16, some guys you'll find with a shortened M16, some guys you'll find with a a grease gun, so like a 45 submachine gun, all this kind of stuff, based on, you know, what situation they're in. Now, while the Russians did have SKSs and PPSHs and PPSs in like reserve units and whatnot, their actual like standard loadout, the idea was you don't need to give everyone something special if just the AK will do. So the idea of like, okay, this is a battle rifle, this is an assault rifle, this is a submachine gun, wasn't a thing really to the Soviets. It was just like, they all just kind of like, you don't need the, because like they didn't even consider the battle rifle and the submachine gun as we consider them. Like, they didn't even think of them as something that you would have to worry about. So they just see the AK as a bigger submachine gun.
Friendly UAV on enemies inside the perimeter.
Threats in the area.
So because of that, they never adopted a new submachine gun. Weirdly enough, technically, neither did America. You know, a lot of countries after World War II got new submachine guns. Germany famously got the MP5. A bunch of people got and technically the U.S. Navy did get the MP5. A lot of people got Uzis. England got the Sterling submachine gun. But because America went so hard into the M14, they never replaced the M1 carbine. America never replaced the submachine gun on an infantry squad level, because in that context, they would just give you an M1 carbine, which is kind of a proto assault rifle. Like, it isn't really an assault rifle, but it's almost there.
Enemies nearby.
So what you end up with is you actually have guys in the first Gulf War, like in Desert Storm, like 1991, like Bart Simpson's on the television. U.S. like armored carrier crews were still being issued grease guns, because they were the smallest thing in the U.S. Army inventory. But
Hardpoint relocating. Stand by. Friendly UAV online.
Thanks, teammate. So
Hardpoint relocated. Secure the target area.
the Soviets, on the other hand, they just immediately were like, oh, this AK-47's great. We can replace all of our bolt-action rifles. We can replace our... Because the way that I've mentioned this a couple times now on stream, but I will repeat it once again. Yeah.
You will not die here.
The way a Soviet, like, battalion worked, or like platoon or company, I always forget the size of names and stuff, right? I think it was like a Soviet like battalion worked. Was
Enemy personnel at the hard point.
You had 3 platoons.
to the hard
two
point.
of those platoons were led by guys with SVD-40s, so semi-automatic rifles, and then everyone else had bolt-action rifles, and then like one guy had a machine gun. And then you had one platoon where literally every guy had a submachine gun, right? And they say, well, wait a minute. So if you look at the American equivalent, America, yeah, will have like situations where like one guy's got like the craziest it gets is where you have situations where like you'll have a guy in like in the Korean War, for example, or like late World War II, you could very much have American squads. Or like the squad leader's got an M1 carbine. The assistant squad leader has a submachine gun. Or let's say the squad leaders have M1 carbines, right? Or let's say they have we'll say they have grease guns, okay? The squad leader has a grease gun. The standard infantry of the squad have M1 Garands. But then the squad has a either like a marksman or a grenadier, who he's got a 1903 Springfield bolt action. Then the machine gunner has a BAR, and then the assistant machine gunner has an M1 carbine, right? As I've mentioned many times in these streams, the Soviet Union was like, wait a minute, we can take the guy who has the semi-automatic rifle and give him an AK. We can take the guys who have the bolt-action rifles and give them AKs. And we can take the guys who have submachine guns and also give them AKs. At first, they just wanted to give the submachine gun guys AKs, and the other guys would get SKSs. And then they were like, well, wait a minute. The AK just does what the SKS does and more. So we should just give everybody the AK. Which is where our modern-day idea of combined arms comes from. Throughout except one guy gets an RPD, because you have to have someone with a machine gun. But then eventually the RPD would be replaced with the RPK, which is just a heavier AK. They would come in the early 60s, though. In the early 60s, they would get to the decision that, it turns out, intermediate cartridges, you know, go to about 600 yards. You know, like a normal infantryman should be able to engage anywhere from 400 to 600 yards with an intermediate caliber, like an assault rifle. Turns out, occasionally, you might have to shoot farther than 600 yards in a war. In that scenario, it's good to have one guy with a slightly longer gun, which is where the SVD comes in, right? So, the Russians, the Soviets, do not ever need to, because they have this idea, they do not make new submachine guns. They do not see the point for submachine guns. If they need urban riot control for, like I said, remember that whole hour I spent talking about the reason why you would want a submachine gun in a modern day setting, like police stuff and whatnot? They figure, well, if it were to ever come to that, if we ever need to, you know, like, do, like, urban, like, if we need to have police raid a building, which, you know, the Soviets did quite a lot, well, we've got a bunch of leftover World War II PPSs, like PPS-43s.
Throwing flash grenade!
So, they just use those by the police, because they've got so many. But, by the time that the Soviet Union has ended, and the standard Russian Federation has begun, they look over their arms, and they say, well, our modern police are armed with what are now 50-year-old submachine guns. This can be updated. So they put into planning, oh my god, they put into planning a,
Hostile UAV active.
they put into plan a new submachine gun program.
Incoming grenade!
And that helical magazine I showed on the other gun, what they come up with is the PP-19 Bison or Bison or whatever, which is that 64 round helical magazine chambered in 9x18. Now, you may have seen somewhere the bullet, the 9x, this classic designation, the 9x18 Parabellum. I'm sorry, 9x19 Parabellum, which is the NATO. That's like 9mm Luger. When people say 9mm, that is normally what they're talking about. 9x19 Parabellum, meaning that the case, like the brass case of the gun, is did that fall through a hole in the ceiling and land back on my feet? Meaning that the brass case is 9mm wide at the mouth and it's 19mm long. Now that has just enough power in it, right? Now there is another bullet, the 9x17, called 380 in America. This is used in a lot of pocket pistols. It was used by a couple European countries as their primary bullet in the World Wars. Italy used it in World War II. Czechoslovakia used it. I have a not as their main. Czechoslovakia actually used 32 and 380 both. I have a World War II Czechoslovakian pistol, a CZ-24 that is chambered in 380. That was probably issued to police forces, as it doesn't have any military markings. The one I have. So the Oh, didn't mean to hit that button. But now 9x17 PPKs are also chambered in 9x18. Well, 9x17, but they used to be more commonly seen in 32, but they became more common in 380 as time went on. Most modern day pocket pistols you're going to find are going to be in 380. But the main difference is that power-wise, a 380 has enough. The 380 is light recoil. It has a low enough pressure that you don't need to lock the action, right? You can just lock the. You can wait for gases to finish expanding, while the action is locked using just the weight of the slide and the spring pressure. Okay. Now, like I said, that is 9x18. That is 9x17. And that works in blowback pistols. 9x19 is a little too big to reliably work in blowback pistols. There are blowback 9mm, well 9x19s, but blowback 9x19s need either a very strong spring that is just going to be hard to pull back with your hand, or it's going to need a very strong, heavy slide that's going to be like troublesome to just use, you know.
Enemy controls 2 objectives. Push. We are losing Alpha.
So 9x19 is pretty much a locked breech cartridge. 9x17 is good for unlock. So that's kind of the way it goes. Well, the Soviets, after World War II, the Soviets look over pistols, right? And they determine that pistols are literally only for one thing,
Secure Bravo.
which is if like basically they figure out if you do not have a rifle,
Friendly UAV on station. Objective Bravo.
then you should not be fighting, right? You should be trying to get to somewhere safe. That is what a pistol is for. A pistol exists literally only to
Securing Charlie.
get you to safety. So a pistol should be something that you will have with you no matter what. So it has to be small.
Hostile
It has to be
UAV in
quick
the
to
sector.
deploy. So it has to be
Enemy is taking Charlie.
it has to be double action. But also it needs to be cheap to manufacture so that you have enough to give to as many people as you can. So they see the Walther PPK.
Enemy is securing Charlie.
Well, actually not the PPK, the PP. The K is the shorter version of the PP. They see the normal PP, which is, like I said, in 32 and 380. And they say, hey,
Enemy took Alpha.
what if we took that,
Bravo.
copied it, then made it slightly stronger, like, but, you know, still look towards easy to manufacture. And then we, let's see. And then we chamber a new bullet that is in between the 9x17 and the 9x19. So really just kind of getting the strongest thing we can get in a reliable blowback action without, you know, breaking the action. Because they know if they go to 9x19, it'll break the action. So they have to get as close as they can to 9x19, which is 9x18. But they then realize if NATO has the 9x19 and they have the 9x18, that's close enough that in an emergency situation you can use captured ammo. And you can put the NATO forces could put the captured 9x NATO could use the captured alright. NATO could use the captured 9x18 and put it in the 9x19 guns, and it would probably fire, maybe not reliably, but it would work. So to prevent that, they 9x18 Makarov is not actually 9x18. It is 9.2 by 18. It is slightly wider, so that it will not fit in the barrel of a NATO gun. Just so that NATO guns cannot use captured ammo. But as I was saying, the this is a pistol ammunition. It's not really used in any Soviet submachine guns. They don't really see the point in making a submachine gun. Warsaw countries are going to make a handful of machine pistols, which the more famous of which is the CZ Scorpion, which that's going to be in the tiny 32. But then there's the Stechkin. The Stechkin is basically just like a giant Makarov that is chambered in 9x18 and full auto, but it is not these aren't meant to be like, they were eventually used by like Spetsnaz guys, you know, because you can put a stock on a well, I just forgot what it was called. It just, even though I just said the name has escaped me. The the military designation is the APS. The Stechkin, that's what it's called, yeah. You can put a stock on a Stechkin, and you can put a suppressor on a Stechkin. So doing that gets you a very small, suppressed submachine gun that, yes, Spetsnaz would use and stuff, but that's not really what it's for. Hello, Meow. What it's really for is that and the CZ Scorpion. They are basically get off my tank guns. They were guns that are issued to guys in tanks for if their tank gets compromised and a guy is on top of the tank trying to open the top door. When the door opens, like when the hatch opens, they can use this little pocket submachine gun they have to shoot the guy who is trying to open their tank.
Enemies inside the perimeter.
So that's the closest the Soviet Union and Warsaw countries ever got to really adopting a 9x18 submachine gun. So when the Soviet Union ends, what we then get is
Fast hands.
the Russian Federation wants a. They think, okay, well, we need to update our World War II era submachine guns into something that can be used by modern police forces. So they take the
Enemy personnel at the hard point.
they say, okay, what
Stand by.
ammo do we have for submachine guns? Well, they still have a bunch of
Hard point relocated. Secure the target area. UAV ready
they
to
still
deploy.
have a bunch of 9x18. Like they've got like literally like potentially billions of rounds. Then they say, okay, so that'll have to be the ammo that we use.
Recon flyover.
Copy.
What?
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
Like, because it's close enough to a respectable submachine gun cartridge that it'll just work.
Confirming next hard point. Stand by.
UAV is bingo fuel. RTB at this time.
Enemies inside the perimeter. Location updated. Capture the hard point.
Throwing grenade.
Come on, John, stay with it.
Enemy down.
The target's here.
So they end up there going, okay, we're gonna design a new submachine gun.
We hold the advantage.
So
Take it, our ghost.
Reloading.
Activated.
they think, how do we, like, what do we need for that?
Enemy UAV active.
And the first thing they say is this is something that Russia really is
Friendly
very
UAV
good
on
about.
station.
That it took America a little bit to get on, but we now do it with the AR-15, which is parts compatibility for ease of manufacturing, and interchangeable parts. America now bases everything on the AR-15, so that whatever gun you have, the more AR-15 parts it can take, the better, because now you just need the parts that you were already getting for your AR-15s, and you just use them in the new gun. So when Russia's developing this submachine gun, they say that, but for the AK, they say give us make it use as many AK parts as we can.
UAV
So,
in the area.
which ended up being about 60% with the Bison.
We've got him on the run. Keep it up.
So it uses like I think it uses like a lot of the 74U parts that were already in production. But without a gas system, it just uses a straight blowback system, like most other submachine guns. Though it is closed bolt. So the way like your cheaper submachine guns work, is the trigger holds the bolt back, and then when you pull the trigger, the bolt just flies forward, and hits the back of the firing pin there. And now, what that means is that when you pull this trigger, you're gonna have the weight of the bolt flying forward, and it's gonna, it's gonna tip the gun forward a little bit, like tip the gun down a bit, and then it's gonna fire, and then tip the gun back up. So it's a really weird kind of sensation, and trying to do like single tap firing with a like semi-automatic fire with an open bolt is very bad. It feels very weird. So if you are making a gun that is meant for like internal ministries and whatnot, like, like if you're making a gun that is made for potentially there's a hostage negotiation where someone is holding a hostage in their arm and you have to shoot the guy holding the hostage, you don't want that gun to have its accuracy thrown off by a bolt closing. So you want to make that a closed bolt gun, which is what they did. But for ease of manufacture, they didn't give it a gas system. So even though it looks like an AK on the outside, they took all the parts out that make an AK an AK. So it is in the end just a straight blowback but closed bolt gun. And like I said, that technically the gun I'm talking about is not this gun, but this gun. Oh no, I accidentally swapped the guns. I didn't mean to do that, so now I gotta go back and fix that kid. Get out of here, get out of the lobby. Alright. Technically the gun I'm talking about is this gun, because they did it with that helical magazine. But, turns out, right, yeah, that helical magazine, what it does is it means yeah, you have 64 rounds, right? Which gets rid of a, let's see, 64 rounds gets rid of a reload, essentially, right? Like, if your gun has, if your gun is using 30 round magazines, right? And then you go to 60 round magazines, now what that means is that your gun has one less reload. The problem with the Bison is that one, that magazine is very weird to carry on your person, right? Like, remember how I equated it to like a Pringles can? Well, it's like, imagine having to carry multiple Pringles cans on like belts. Like, it's very weird to do that. And two, they also it's kind of weird to reload. Like, you kind of have to clip them in a weird way. And also, they're heavy. Magazines weigh a lot. Like, 30 bullets. Like, if you hold, like, a box of, like, 30 bullets, it's like... Yeah, if you're, like, a SWAT team going in, you're like, yeah, whatever. But, like, if you are, like, a guy guarding an airport, where you don't want to, like, penetrate, like, a plane, you know? Like, you don't want to accidentally shoot through the hull of a plane. Or if you're on a boat, where you don't want to shoot through the hull of a boat, or, like, you know, you're working in, like, a harbor, but you're just meant to patrol, you want a lightweight gun, because you're just going to be walking around with that gun all day. So like I said, you don't want something that'll tear... I haven't been searching. You don't want something that will tear through the wall or whatever. Like, you don't want something that'll penetrate by accident. So you'll probably want a submachine gun. But, if your submachine gun has a 64 round magazine, that's going to be a very heavy submachine gun, which is going to be uncomfortable as you're holding it all day. So eventually, what we get is the gun that I am carrying and I've been using all stream. It only took me an hour and a half to finally address it. But it is not the PP-19 Bison. It is the PP-19 Vityaz. And what this is what people call it the Russian MP5. It isn't. But it functions. It fills the role that the MP5 does. Of a lightweight, 30 round mag, stick-fed, closed bolt submachine gun. The main difference, of course, being that the MP5 is roller delayed, whereas the PP-19 is just straight blowback. So the MP5 does have a lighter recoil. But basically, it fits that role of this is a small gun that uses our normal ammo that isn't weird. Like, it's just a familiar gun. Like I said, the Bison configuration of it with the helical mag, it just has too many weird things going for it. People always try helical mags. It's kind of like a drum magazine. A lot of countries will always try drum magazines on something, only to, like, whenever they adopt something with a drum magazine, they will then get rid of it and just go to the standard magazine. If we're still continuing to talk about the Soviets had the RPK with a drum magazine, but then they eventually just got rid of it and just issued 40 round or 45 round stick magazines. But
Changing mags.
Enemy is securing Alpha. We control Bravo. Enemy is taking Bravo.
Yeah, so this is where, like,
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
this submachine gun kind of comes from, which, like I said, you'll see it in use where it was designed to be used, which is like Russian police or like anti-terrorism units when they're doing like if they're doing like a hostage rescue or something, and they
Friendly UAV online.
like if they're doing like a hostage rescue and they need something that'll be compact and suppressed, and like
Enemy took Charlie.
they are worried about using something in a 5.45, then yeah, they'll use one of these in a similar configuration to where I have it in the game. Mine has a fixed stock on it. I don't believe. Well, mine has the AK-100 series stock on it. I don't believe the AK-100 series stock fits on this, as I believe it is too long for the frame, and if you tried to fold it, it wouldn't click into place. Oh, you saved a teammate there potentially. Oh wait, no, he saved himself. But yeah, that is the actual gun isn't that interesting. As I said, it was
Alpha secure.
it's basically just they want an MP5, but they're not gonna buy MP5s. So they just made this. But the story as to why they had to make this instead of just using something they already had is the interesting story that I just spent an hour and a half telling. And that's also the story of 2 guns in this game covered with one story.
VTOL inbound. We have secured 2 objectives.
Let's see.
Fast.
Ah!
Enemy is taking Bravo. No. Our UAV is orbiting the area.
Alright, yeah. So it is nice to finally get back to streaming because I haven't streamed since Valentine's Day because of the horrors of the JP schedule. But because we are currently in the off days, I actually had I went back to the EU time slumber last night of going to bed at like 10 and then waking up at like 6, and it was like, wow, a normal sleep schedule for like 2 days. So because tomorrow, I enjoy everything that the JP trips give us. It's just the times are hard. Let's see.
Our UAV is orbiting the area. Securing objective Charlie. Halfway to mission complete. We hold all objectives. Keep them secure. Enemy is taking Bravo. Hostile UAV overhead.
Yeah, Fire Emblem into the Gura collab is gonna be hard. Depending if Fire Emblem goes for 8 hours as it usually does, that'll leave 4 hours between the end of Fire Emblem and the start of the Gura collab. Luckily, I have the chance to sleep during the day before the Fire Emblem stream, so I'll be able to do that, and that should keep me up enough, and then I'll see if I could maybe sleep after, well, basically I'm gonna sleep after the Fire Emblem stream, and then hope I can wake up for the Gura stream, and then
Sentiments when early.
and if I can plan it right, I probably won't have to go back to sleep if I could like get like my like actual time correctly like blocked out.
We are taking Charlie.
Thankfully there's no Ophi stream that night, so I can I've got a bit of freedom there.
I'm reloading. Requesting recon at my location.
UAV orbiting the AO. Recon is online.
I'm hearing footsteps. I do not know where those guys are. Alright, neat.
Incoming grenade.
Ah! But yeah, I am enjoying these slight break days we're having. I'm happy that it seems Myth is having fun. Going on whatever adventure they are on. And then they have whatever they're rehearsing for. It seems like Myth is rehearsing together for something. which is weird because according to Fourth Fest, they don't have anything together. Unless, yeah, there's like a there's gonna be like a surprise like myth like performance on some days. Yeah, like the a full group segment. Callie's birthday is coming up, so if she's doing a 3D live for that, maybe they're filming something for that. You know, maybe we're finally getting a hot 3D myth music video that they're all dancing in. Who knows? Could be anything. But they certainly are putting a lot of work into it these past days, because yeah, like it seems to be today was like the only day for like the past like week and a half, and then also tomorrow, like the past like week and a half, and then the rest of this week pretty much. It feels like it's like the only days where myth wasn't what's it called? Like, yeah, just there's something's coming up, and they are all like just kind of taking their time practicing for it, and it's like, yeah, good job, folks. Yeah, and it's like a situation where it's like, oh yeah, there's something coming up soon. Whatever it is, that like, I really can't tell. Let's see, do it. Nah, I don't think I want 45 rounds. But I wouldn't. Callie like tweeted, like she was like, oh yeah, I've got to I really just wish I didn't have a field upgrade. Like Callie like tweeted like, oh yeah, when I get lost I gotta follow Kiara's dance moves, and it's like, what are Callie and Kiara dancing together? Like, that's odd. There's nothing that we know of that has them together. So definitely something to wait and see for that.
Domination.
I'm sure, I can't remember, was anything like crazy announced at the end of Fourth Fest? I mean, not Fourth Fest, Third Fest. I didn't mean to throw my grenade there. I'm trying to remember if there was like a shocking revelation at the end of Third Fest or not.
Securing objective Bravo.
Oh.
With you till the end.
Objective Bravo secure. We have secured the lead. We are taking Alpha.
Ah. Oh, hello, Dom. But yeah,
keep them secure.
Then there's also whatever the EN Connect is. But that's not just Myth, that's all of EN. That's like including Council risks.
The enemy took Alpha.
Whatever that may be.
We are losing Bravo.
Let's see. Presumably, yeah, it's just some point in the summer, which truly is vague. It could be, yeah, it could be mid-June, or it could be mid-September for all we know.
All objectives secure.
I hope. I'm gonna assume, they'll give details at the end of, like, potentially at the end of Fourth Fest, they'll be like, "Hey, exciting thing! Here's some details," and then they'll give details.
Bravo.
It's just gonna be
Enemy is taking Alpha.
it's definitely gonna be
Enemy to Bravo.
I can see it like them being like, "Oh yeah, here like."
Charge.
We have
Here it
lost
is now. Tickets are open, and then it's coming out in July or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's gonna be annoying, like staggered with like Fourth Fest merch, and then Anime Boston, and then
Secure Bravo.
Kiara's birthday is like,
Enemy UAV active.
oh yeah, I really hope the tickets aren't hard to get. With 10 fandoms trying to get in.
Controls 2 objectives. Push. We are taking Bravo.
But yeah, the like,
Enemy is taking Charlie.
yeah, I really just hope like we get an early, like if we get an earlier notice, and then also, like I said, I kind of hope it is,
Charlie is compromised. Take it
like
back.
slightly later. Like if it was in like
Securing Charlie.
August, I'd much prefer that of if it was in like July.
We control Alpha. All objectives secure. Expect counterattack.
'Cause, yeah,
Enemy
just
is
trying
securing
to-
Alpha.
Trying to like pace out the events so that
Objective Alpha is compromised. Take it back.
you know, probably gonna get merch, probably gonna get some Fourth Fest merch, but then also yeah, Anime Boston, like Anime Boston is so insane because like I knew like 2 months in advance
Securing objective
the
Alpha.
exact day and time Kiara would be there, you know? Like, they immediately were like, yep, Kiara and Kobo are gonna be here on Sunday, April 9th. And it was like,
Ghost online.
that's crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, Anime NYC told us literally like 2 days before that, like, Kiara would even be there. So it's like this is like, oh yeah, a month and a half
All
prior.
objectives secure. Enemy is taking Alpha.
Yeah, like I was originally like, well that's the thing. Originally I was like, I guess I gotta go 3 days because I don't know what day Kiara will be there. And then like before I had bought tickets or anything, they were like, oh yeah, Kiara and Kobo. Like day one is
Objective Alpha is compromised.
day
Take it
one
back.
is Fubuki, Bay, and Risu. Day 2 is Magni and Vesper. And then day 3 is Kiara and Kobo.
Friendly cluster bomb.
So I was like, oh, in that case, I'll just go up on day 3.
Enemy is securing Charlie. Objective Alpha secure.
I still have to figure out like accommodations and whatnot.
We're losing Charlie.
Uh,
The enemy is Charlie.
Because I plan on taking the train up, and I don't know exactly when it opens, but I assume, you know, cons will open at like around 10 or so.
Objective Charlie secure.
And the trains are, oh yeah, this is normally Call of Duties have become it's funny you use the term uninspired, because I was going to use Call of Duties have kind of, a lot of their levels have become like uninspired in recent years. But this is interesting as it's like actually like a place with like some story that you can imagine to it. But the going up to like Boston is like an 8-hour train ride, I think.
Securing Charlie.
Where though the train wouldn't be that expensive.
Charlie.
It would just be like $50 up and back. But that would be
We
like,
are taking Alpha.
Yeah, that's the because like I would have to stay over on the Saturday night. Because like that would be like like rather than try to get there the Sunday morning, you know. It would make the most sense to. Yeah, like rather than leave here at like midnight, then get to Boston at like 8 a.m. and then go to the con. It's like, oh yeah, get here Saturday night, and then we'll get to Boston at Saturday night, wake up, go to the con, and then leave on Sunday night and get home at like, you know, like get home at, I don't know what time it would be like. It would definitely be late, like technically Monday morning, but figuring all that out.
We control Bravo. Enemy precision airstrike. Find cover.
This is the situations where I wish like capsule hotels were a thing in America, because it's like that's what I'm not. Like I don't need a kitchen. I don't need like a full situation for this. I just need a bed. Just give me a little capsule, a little pod that I could live in for a few hours.
Flash out!
We have secured 2 objectives.
Hostile.
They're gaining ground. Don't stop.
Changing line.
Ah. So definitely figuring that out, and then like as I like it would probably be better for me to go 2 days.
Victory secure. Good fighting.
And now you see, I don't know what a hostel is, and also my aside from the fact that my parents are familiar with the Eli Roth film Hostel, which has made them terrified of the idea of hostels, to the point to where when I mentioned going to Philly, they were like, "You better not be going to a hostel in Philly," because they've, like I said, they've been terrified by the film. So whatever situation is going on there, it would probably be better to have like so the way that we did Anime NYC was day 1 we just kind of like went around, like first went to the Omocat booth, then just kind of went around and stuff. I see. Yeah, like that would be perfect, because like I said, I literally just need to go there to sleep. So that may be a way to go if I can figure it out. Huh. Yeah, like I like never go anywhere before like cons. Like going to Anime NYC was like the first time like I ever like went to a hotel room really. So this is all very new to me. But the day 1 was like
Reloading.
We control Charlie.
just going around like the vendors and whatnot, but like not like main artist alley. Just kind of, you know, experiencing the random con stuff.
Taking effect. I am wounded.
Alright, see you later, Moondog.
Bravo is compromised.
Day 2 was then the Kiara stuff, and then going through like Artist Alley. So this, like I said,
Enemy down.
for ease of price and travel, I heard that guy swing a sword at me, so I just turned around and
The enemy
blasted him.
controls 2 objectives. Assault positions.
But for ease of price and travel,
Enemy securing Charlie.
Is that all you've got?
The enemy has captured all objectives. Take them back.
yeah, I'll definitely see the idea
Securing
of
objective Bravo.
how a hostile works, because that seems to, and that is the cheapest. If that is the cheapest way to just obtain a bed for 12 hours, then
Taking Bravo.
Requesting
yeah, that's
recon
probably
flyover.
what I'll hope to do.
Cluster mine deployed.
Securing objective Alpha.
Enemy UAV active.
Securing objective Bravo.
Oh. The one thing, busyness. I'm not sure how. It's gonna be. It's funny because we're meeting in Philly for like Fourth Fest. But
Friendly UAV online.
Philly has a lot of Irish people. The way that yeah, so Philly has a lot of like Irish people. So it is very busy during St. Patrick's Day usually, which is when Fourth Fest is. So that's gonna be potentially busy, and then also, Boston also has a lot of Irish people, who are all a lot of them very Catholic, which means that it gets very busy during Easter, and Easter is when Anime Boston is. So
Sniper.
the two biggest events in the year of Irish people on the East Coast are both now become KFP events.
Target down.
So the cities will both probably be busy during those days. So that'll be fun and interesting to see.
We're taking Bravo.
Though I hope it doesn't really affect too many hotel prices in Boston.
Push the enemy taking Charlie. The enemy holds all objectives.
But
Secure
hopefully,
those positions.
if that goes well, my train, I assume, will
Securing objective Charlie.
the train ride home was gonna be at a weird time anyway. Yeah, like I don't even know like if hostels like are even like a thing. Like I don't know of any around here. There are many more motels around here.
We're taking Alpha.
Enemy UAV overhead.
So yeah, I definitely have to look into that.
We control Alpha.
But thankfully, because they gave us such a good notice.
Friendly UAV on station.
Alright then, I guess that guy got killed. But because they gave us such good notice for Anime Boston,
The enemy controls 2 objectives. Assault.
yeah,
those
we have some
positions.
time to figure that out.
Enemies taking Alpha.
Our UAV
It is weird to
orbiting
think
the
that
area.
A motel is short for a motor hotel. To where, yeah, I think like out where like Trevor lives more, there are motels. Where it's like they're usually on the side of like highways and stuff, and it's basically just like a parking lot, and then a bunch of bedrooms that are like connected, like that are just like all like there's no hallways between them. It's just like a bunch of bedrooms with front doors.
Objective Alpha secure.
So you just like park, go up to like the front desk, and then be like, I would like a room, and then they give you a room. And yeah, it'll be just like a small room with like a bathroom. And yeah, it's supposed to be for like,
Objective Alpha is
you just like stay there overnight when you're driving somewhere. Or if you're just like, yeah, like coming into like a city.
We've lost Bravo.
Like, I live near Atlantic City, where like, you know, a lot of people come in for just like one night. And as such, the city is filled with hotels. But just outside the city, on the road into the city, it is filled with motels. There's like a long stretch right before the city, where like for like a couple miles until right up into the bridge into the city is like nothing but motels.
Failed. Return to base.
So I'm not sure how it is in Boston. But yeah, that's because I've been tangenting so much. I was gonna say I actually haven't been yeah, as you can see, I had a 0 defense there because I wasn't really paying attention to the mission as much. But let's see. Like, I hope the like, depending on when the Kiara, like, yeah, tangent over gameplay. Depending on when the, I don't know exactly when the, what's it called, when exactly the Kiara Kobo panel is. I'd assume earlier in the day, as Kobo is in it, and I figure, yeah, that's like what Beats is saying right now about like trying to figure out like, so like, I'm not sure exactly when it opens, but I'd assume earlier in the day is when they're gonna want to have the Kobo, like the Kiara Kobo. Well, no, because they're gonna have Kobo be doing a meet and greet like late in the day anyway.
Domination.
So I really don't know when they would have the panel at.
Objective Bravo is compromised. We control Alpha.
Because Kobo is gonna be doing the meet and greet at like 6 a.m. I guess her time. So they're either gonna do the panel early in the morning and just have Kobo stay up all night, or they're gonna do the panel late, like later, like one of the last things. And if it's one of the last things, then yeah, they'll have Kiara just kind of stay up a bit longer. Like if they have the meet and greets at like 4, I can either see the panels being at like 10, or I can see the panels being at
Enemy
like
deployed a counter UAV. Objective Charlie secure.
like 7, you know.
Friendly UAV on Hostile VTOL overhead.
One of like
Hostile
those
UAV
things
in the
depending
area.
on how they want to go about it.
Enemy taking Alpha. We're losing Charlie.
Either way,
Secure Bravo. The enemy took Alpha.
yeah, I'd like to go around like Artist Alley and whatnot during
Bravo secure.
but like I hope that there's
Station. Friendly cruise missile.
enough of a buffer where it's like,
Look alive! You will not die here.
you know, like
Enemy UAV active.
I guess getting to the panel, like if you get into the meet and greet, there's like
Securing Alpha.
the line is just going to be the people that are in the meet and greet, so you don't have to be there too early. But the panel, you kind of want to be there early
We hold all objectives. Keep them secure. Enemies taking
to get like a
Charlie.
good seat in the panel.
We've
Got the
lost
sniper.
Bravo. The enemy took Charlie.
So depending on when that
Hostile
is,
VTOL in the area. Friendly
because I want to go, you know, see if I can get yeah, Sunday usually Sundays usually like from what I've seen, they'll open.
Enemy securing Alpha.
They open later on Fridays.
Securing Charlie.
Then they
The enemy captured all
they go
objectives.
all day Saturday, and then they close earlier Sunday.
Control Charlie. Secure Bravo. Friendly cruise missile deployed.
So
Take Alpha.
yeah, they might do like the meet and greet like right when it like they might do the panel, or they might do the panel like right before the meet and greet, and like it's like, okay, panel's done. See you guys in like 20 minutes.
We're losing Charlie. Friendly UAV online.
I just hope there is I hope there is
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
just enough to let me go
Down.
get you know, a Kiara print or two
Objective Alpha secure.
while in between some panels and whatnot.
Objective Bravo is compromised. Hostile
Which
UAV
that actually
in the area.
reminds me, I hope what happened last time. So my bank, right? My bank is very bizarre. Yeah, that's what I was figuring too, at least 1 hour. And if it is at least 1 hour, then that gives decent time before the panel
Friendly
to go do
UAV
stuff.
online.
But yeah, my bank is very weird. My bank will like
The enemy controls 2 objectives.
any transaction that is not from an American business, they immediately think is weird. And they will cancel my card.
Friendly
And I have to like they'll lock my card, and I always have to reactivate it.
Objective Bravo.
Even the like the Switch, like if I put like money on my Switch account to like buy a game digitally, my bank will be like, we noticed you purchased you made a purchase through the Japanese company Nintendo. That doesn't seem like it adds up. You don't live in Japan. And they'll lock my card. Like it happens literally all the time.
We're taking Charlie.
So when I was at Anime NYC, there was a Kiara print I really liked. If you
Enemies taking Charlie.
have seen any of the pictures I've sent of like my wall, it's the print that is like Durndal Kiara in like almost in like a magazine cover kind of like format. Oh my god, there's so many guys right here. But yeah, that one I go to buy from the artist, right?
We've lost half the field.
And
Fight back.
he scans my card and whatnot, and it's like, oh yeah,
Secure Bravo.
your card's locked. Oh, that's teammate.
You're back.
2
Loading.
objectives secure. Our UAV is
Yeah,
orbiting
yeah,
the area.
like that's a guy behind me, I think. Yep. But yeah, so I go to buy it from the guy, and then he's like, yeah, the card didn't go through. And I'm like, weird.
We're losing Alpha.
Got him.
Enemy securing Charlie. Hostile UAV in the area. Enemy taking Alpha.
Targets down.
Securing objective Bravo. We've lost Alpha.
But yeah, so the guy scans my card, and I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, it didn't go through.
Objective Bravo secured.
And I'm like, alright, why did it not go through? And he's like, oh, like, you know, it just says like it won't go through. So I'm like, alright, here, let me figure out what's going on with that. I'll come back. I call my bank.
Friendly UAV online.
And my bank's like, oh yeah, this guy's Canadian.
Enemy UAV active.
You're trying to charge to his Canadian,
We're losing Alpha.
like his Canadian, like bank account. So we blocked it. And I was like, oh,
Friendly
can you
cruise missile
unlock my
inbound.
card and then let me purchase like this convention art from this Canadian man? And they were like, well, we can unlock the card, but we'd want to do like an
We
internal
secured two objectives.
like checkup to see if this guy's legit. And I'm standing next to him, and they're like,
We're losing
Sniper.
Charlie.
they're like, yeah, but you know, it's protocol that we do that. So I'm like, well, how long will it take? They were like, potentially 24
Enemy
hours.
taking Charlie.
So I was like, you can't just authorize the purchase that I'm like standing in front of right now. And they were like, we cannot. So I was like, all right, well then just unlock the card then. And they were like, all right. So they just unlocked the card, and then I just have motion buy it, and then I just
Our UAV is orbiting
Motion's
the area.
bank is not Canadian. So I just send Motion the money, and then that's that. And it was like,
Securing Alpha.
I now have the print, and it was like what a weird situation to do. In the middle of a con as well, like just like on the phone, like in the middle of Artist Alley. And it's like, yeah, so I hope a similar situation doesn't happen like that.
We're taking Alpha.
And I could, or if I could at least like get that like figured out in advance, like, hey, like call them up like tomorrow. I may be making a purchase. Some of them potentially could be Canadian. Like to warn them beforehand.
Enemy securing Charlie.
Cause that's what every time I buy anything from like Buy or like the like HoloLive app, they call me and they're like, did you just purchase something from HoloLive? And I'm like, yeah, this is like the 5th time I've purchased something from HoloLive. You guys should know this by now.
Hostile counter UAV overhead. We're taking Bravo.
Changing mag.
Hostile UAV in the area. We control 2 objectives. We're losing Alpha.
Yeah, usually that's what happens. Usually they'll lock my card, they'll call, and I'll just be like, yeah, I did buy that. And they'll be like, oh, okay.
We're on the
But this specific time, for some reason, I guess because it wasn't to like a company, it was just to like a specific guy, they were like, that seems fishy.
Securing objective Bravo. Bravo secure.
It's also, it happens a lot when I buy like, I listen to like a lot of like post-punk music from like Russia and stuff,
UAV ready to deploy.
and like former Soviet nations,
Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back.
which,
Mission complete. Solid work.
which, you know, those are like, they're also like, hey, I think like 75% of the final kills today have been me, weirdly. So like when I'm on like what's it called? When I'm on like the like just like Discogs or like Bandcamp or whatever, like the place to just get like normal vinyls. Even buying through there, my bank will be like, you bought from a band from Belarus. That seems suspicious. Let's see. Actually, did I just get that to 100? Let's see. I did just get this to 100, and that's what I was just gonna do for today. I wasn't planning on streaming too long, and yeah, just about hit the 2-hour mark. So yeah, that was a nice little time to level up that submachine gun, tell the history of it, and then also talk about upcoming cons. But now, yeah, I must you know, use the rest of my day for non-gaming things. But thanks for coming out, folks. Thanks for the nice con-related discussions in chat. I'll see you folks probably, you know, in mere minutes in the Discord or something. But I guess that's the end of the stream. Oh, hello, Blue. You've slipped in at the last second. But yeah, see ya, folks. I guess Otsu lunch.